and I'm sure a lot of you guys know there was a very large storm this weekend. So I want to talk a lot about mindset, and I want to talk about a few different realizations I had this weekend. So one was watching kind of the panic pre-storm was something that I, as a West Coaster, had not experienced before. Just everything shutting down, people going crazy at the stores, like buying everything out. It just felt so out of body to me because I've just never experienced something like that. And I kept feeling like it wasn't going to be as big of a storm as predicted. I feel like I was outside the day before on Friday and it was like 46 and sunny, and I just couldn't imagine that it would get so bad. And it's just interesting how mindset, I feel like, really dictates everything in life, right? Like, I went into it not feeling like it was going to be a big deal. And for me personally, it ended up being an okay weekend. I know a lot of people in Nashville lost power. I know that that would be really scary and really cold. So my heart completely goes out to them. And it's just so interesting how we can all be in the same city and experiencing such completely different realities. Like, I worked and watched TV all weekend and just rested and kind of did what I normally would do because I personally didn't lose power, and I'm so grateful for that. And the only thing that was a little bit scary was the sound of the trees like cracking because they were getting so frozen that these massive branches were just falling. So I would like hear one hit my house in the middle of the night. So that was very eerie. And also my heart just breaks for all the trees because like looking around, there's these massive trees that are now just broken. And that's so sad. But I will say another realization I had with mindset over the weekend was there have been plenty of weekends where I don't go anywhere, like Saturday and Sunday. And I usually work at least a portion of the weekend. Some days, like if I'm not feeling well, I'll watch church online and I'll just spend my whole weekend at home. And I feel completely fine doing that. But it's so interesting when I couldn't leave this weekend, I started to get so stir crazy and antsy. And it's the same exact thing, right? It's like the same four walls. For me, I didn't lose power. I didn't lose anything. My house was stocked with food. I had everything I needed. I found some good shows. Like everything was exactly the same as it would have been any other weekend. The only difference was my mindset of knowing I couldn't leave. So knowing usually I can do whatever I want, and this time I couldn't. And I realized that my reality, although nothing tangible changed in my home, the only thing that changed was how my mindset was, how I was looking at it. When I choose to be home, it's a choice. So I feel in control. I feel safe. I feel completely in flow and in freedom because it's what I want. But when you're forced to stay inside for the weekend, you can feel trapped, antsy, like you're out of control, like there's this resistance, right? And what I'm just trying to get across to you is I was so keenly aware of how interesting that is, that none of the actual environment or parameters will change, but it feels so completely different dependent on our mindset. So it made me think of other situations where maybe my mindset was more resistance-based or limited or restrictive versus expanded. Because what I essentially started doing last night is I just pretended like I could leave. I just kept telling myself like, oh, I could go down the street and pick up some food, but I have this delicious food in the fridge. I just started convincing myself that I was choosing to be home. And I was like, oh, I'm so lucky that I have this incredible show that I found and a delicious dinner and some magnesium water and a catch-up call with a friend later. And this is so beautiful. And immediately my vessel, my energy expanded instead of feeling so contracted like it was all day Saturday. I just felt so like, I don't want to be here. Like I want to leave, right? And so I want you to just really think about how different situations you've been in where maybe you're just looking at it from a very limited perspective. And I want to be completely honest that I understand if you're in a different situation this weekend and you like lost power or something got damaged. Like I'm not saying to ignore reality, like tangible reality. If that happened, that's a completely different situation. And my heart goes out to you. And I hope that you're so safe and that things are going to be back to normal as soon as possible. I'm saying when the variables don't change and all that's changed is your mindset, it really just shows you how powerful we are, right? My friend and I were talking about fear the other day, and she had an experience that she was scared of with her kid. And she was just saying how quickly her body filled with like cortisol and panic. And it took her several, minutes or an hour to regulate. And fear is like that, where it just is so overtaking and it will flood your body. And a lot of the times we're perceiving something that we think is scary, but then we realize we're wrong. And so it's like, okay, calm the body down, calm the body down. And again, all of that is just like perception. And our minds are so, so powerful. And it's just using your mind as the beautiful source of infinite intelligence that it is in your favor. I always find that the placebo effect is one of the craziest things that exists. Like, we literally have proven with science that we can believe something and make it physically change our body. I think that that is one of the most slept on things, that we should all be thinking about that once a day of, oh wait, if I just want to pretend that this is happening differently, I can. But we're also stuck in our patterns and our beliefs and feeling sorry for ourselves that we choose not to. Like, I remember this one case. This guy had a multiple personality disorder, like severe, like his accents would change. He thought he was a different person in all these different realities in his head, so much so that one of the personalities in his head had allergies that the other one didn't have. Like, think of how crazy that is. This guy's like switching personalities like day to day. He had like, I believe it was like over a dozen personalities. And he believed it so completely that he was a different person as one of the characters in his mind, that it would create measurable allergies in his body. And then later in the day or, the week, he would switch back to someone else and that allergy wouldn't exist. That to me is so mind-boggling. And I feel like we put so much emphasis on all these wellness things, which obviously I'm deep in the wellness space and I love it, but there's just so much power in mindset. Mindset really rules all. I feel like mindset and self-love are the foundation of everything. It's like you can journal and meditate and eat healthy all you want, but until you really love yourself and are keenly aware of what you are thinking day to day to day, that is where you're going to see the biggest amount of change, because you have to believe that you deserve the life that you want. And then once you make that choice of, I believe this, it's not like your thoughts are just like on board right away. They have, 20 to 30 years of thinking a different way. So it's like you put this new program into your body of saying, I believe that I deserve this thing. And then you have to constantly be checking the software, where when a limiting thought comes in, you change it, you catch it, you change it, you catch it, you change it. I've had so many instances where I'm speaking with a client during a session and they're having a big reaction. And sometimes I'll like try to bring them back to center and they'll say like, well, how would you respond to this? And I always love that question, because I feel like I'm also a human. I also get triggered. I also get angry. I also get frustrated. But one thing that I've been trying to practice so much recently with Kabbalah is pause, what a gift. So it's just literally saying that anytime you are triggered, you pause and say, what a gift. Because what are you doing there? Something externally is ruffling your feathers. And normally you would be reactive, which means that the external thing has control over your inner peace. And then you're going to act out in a way that maybe later, once you've cooled down, you say, oh, shoot, I wish I didn't send that email or send that text or say that thing. And so when you pause and you tell your mind what a gift, you are right in the moment saying, I am in control. I direct my mindset to where I want it to go. And instead of being so affected by this thing externally that has me all hot and bothered, not in the good way, I am going to say, what a gift. Because I'm saying I'm in control. And I'm saying I decide to be in gratitude for this thing that I don't want to be happening. Because what happens is, when something has us frustrated and then we fight fire with fire, we are just creating more resistance. Then we lash out. And I've done this. Believe me, I've done this. Like, then you lash out and then it comes back. And it's just like it's creating more of the same, because like attracts like. So when you pause, what a gift, you're saying, I'm going to be grateful, even though this isn't what I would have chosen. I am so confident that everything works out in my highest good. I am so confident that everything is from the Creator. And I am so confident that this is good, that I am not going to let it have power over me. And this one thing has absolutely changed my life the last few weeks, because as anyone know, if you've ever been like on the tech side of things, you can have so many tech issues when you're setting up a studio like this. And I feel like every day there's been something, like whether it's a delay or something doesn't work or a cord breaks, da 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 da, and I'm like, new lights, this and that. And I feel like through all of it, I'm just pause what a gifting over and over and over. Now we have a snowstorm, so all this stuff that I ordered for something I'm launching, I guess, this Thursday. So like in 3 days, now it's all delayed because of the storm. So it's just like I'm sitting here, and instead of getting angry and mad, and of course, we all feel like we have a right to that anger. And it's not that you don't, right? It's not that you're saying I'm a pushover, I'm weak. You're just saying, I'm not going to let this affect my energy. I'm going to get to completely neutral on this, and then I'm going to act. You can still set the boundary, you can still make the complaint, whatever it is, but now you're doing it from a place of neutrality and acceptance. You have to accept what is, even if it's not what you want, because you have to accept it in order to change it. And I know that sometimes seems backward. It feels like if we accept it, we're settling for less, but it's just saying this is what is. We can't change in this exact moment of now what is. So you have to change the energy first. You can't create something new with the same energy that created it. So you have to get to that place of neutrality, get to that plane of acceptance, and then say, okay, moving from here, what am I going to do? What am I choosing? What do I want from here? Because I'm the creator of my reality, and I am not going to let this thing spin out of control, right? And I just find that that's so helpful when it comes to mindset. Mindset really is everything. I've been practicing something called, I think it's called robotic mantras recently, where you just say something in your mind over and over with no emotion, almost like you're just rewiring it. Like I mean, I'm going to use, this isn't the one that I'm personally doing. I don't want to share that one at this point, but let's just say you want more money. So you just say, money flows to me with ease, money flows to me with ease, money flows to me with ease. But like you say it so much in your mind that it doesn't feel charged. It doesn't feel like, oh, scary money or, oh, like scarcity. It just is rewiring it over and over and over. Another thing that's really good to do, I forget what it's called, but it's when you're doing something new, you start saying affirmations, because your brain is in a different point of reception and a different frequency when you're doing something new. It's much more spongy, right? Like it's really soaking it up because you're learning something new. So whenever I go to like a new workout class or something, I can't remember where I learned this. And then you're supposed to tap at the same time. So I'll be like doing this new workout move, and I'll also just be like tapping myself and trying to tap in a new affirmation that I believe. Because I feel like there's just so many of these interesting hacks. Like we are walking around with these big computers. And so it's just a matter of finding these different ways that we can kind of like outsmart or convince our brain of things. Because think of it, we're working against decades of repeated patterns in our minds. And so it's really about making it fun and playful. I am a huge believer this year with how can I make this fun? Anytime I hit a road bump or want to bring a new habit in, instead of going extreme, restriction or whatever it is, I'm just like, how can I have more fun with this? Like if I'm doing this face exercise in the morning that's really long, how can I make it fun? Oh, I'm going to listen to my audiobook at the same time. Or I want to get, more fit. How can I make that fun? Oh, maybe I'll do pickleball or some dance classes along with the gym, because our brain just wants stimulation. It wants novelty. It wants fun. It wants joy. And so bringing in that joy is so, so helpful. Again, it's a mindset thing. When I used to play pickleball for like hours, I'm not thinking like, how many calories am I burning? Am I getting fit? You're just playing and having fun. But then you're like, wow, you get home and you're like, I'm kind of sore because I dove for that or whatever it is. And so it's just a matter of changing the things in your lifestyle the way you want to, but trying to make it fun. I have so much going on with this new adventure and the new adventure beginning on Thursday. And I'm sure you guys saw my fireplace frequency that I just put out, that I just kind of did on a whim because that's something that I wanted. I'm doing a big live event on here mid-February for Valentine's Day. And there's so many things going on. And I was speaking to one of my mentors, and she was like, why are you doing all this stuff? And I was like, I feel like I just want to have more fun. I feel like the whole point of being an entrepreneur is that you have a job that you really like. And it's really easy to get into a point when you have a business where things just become like all about the bottom line and what's going to make the most money and like how to make the most out of everything. And I got to the point where after the concussion, I really had to sit with everything and say, like, what parts of my business do I like? Like, obviously I love helping others, but what parts am I actually still excited about? Because I want to make sure that I'm feeling that passion, because that's when I really spark up and I feel like I can help and serve the most, is when I'm genuinely excited about something. And so I'm doing all these new things. And she was like, well, I was stressed about one of the deadlines being missed because of one of the delays. And she was like, so your main goal is to have fun? And I was like, yes. She goes, when you're stressed out about the delays and about the shipping and about the dates and the promo, she's like, are you having fun? And I was like, no, of course not. She goes, then you've lost your compass, right? So she was like, of course it's important to deal with dates and promo and all these very logistical things, but she was just like, all of these deadlines you're creating in your mind. So how about you just like release it all, have fun, and let everything fall together in divine timing, and just have fun every day and not take it too serious. And I loved that point of view and that perspective, because at the end of the day, it is supposed to be fun. Like we are on this earth, we are at this earth school to have fun, and we get so wrapped up in the seriousness of everything. And of course there are serious things going on, but at the end of the day, it's like, I feel like we all just should just be having more fun. And there's nothing like not leaving the house for multiple days where you're like, wow, I take so many things for granted, right? Like I actually iced my car myself. Like she was like a popsicle. Like I had to like rip off ice off of her. And I drove to a cafe today because I was just like, I cannot any longer be trapped in here. I want to go have some fun. And I just got a coffee and some breakfast and journaled. And it was so fun. Like so much more fun than it's been in so long, because I couldn't have it all weekend. Right? So it's just like all these little moments. I feel like it's just constantly finding the magic anywhere that you are. And I want you guys to start looking for ways that you can have more fun, and ways that you can work on your mindset in ways that feel expanded. I feel like whenever you're trying to make a decision, is it creating a contraction or expansion in your body? Right? Like I have learned in the past few months to be really thoughtful about who I share things with. And not because anyone in my circle doesn't want the absolute best for me, they 100% do. But I've noticed that when things are still in seed form and you put them in the ground and they're just sitting there and they haven't even sprouted yet, they're just like this baby little thing, and maybe you're so excited about it, and then you share it with a friend and they just start asking questions, which is, there's nothing wrong with asking questions. And they're like, well, if you do think that's going to work, or is this too long? Or is like, does that make any sense? It's like, I feel like it's taking that little seed and it's like trying to uncover it to show them like, no, I promise it's a really good seed and it's going to be really great. And I've learned that I am personally susceptible to that kind of stuff. It's like I have this bubble, how I imagine it, that I'm like this brilliant balloon or bubble that's like really high in the sky, and I get so excited and so passionate. And then someone can say the tiniest little thing and it just pops me. And right or wrong, that's something I've noticed about myself. I remember my human design expert actually telling me once that was like something, I forget how it is, like one of my centers are open. So I need to like be really careful about letting other people's opinions in. And so I've gotten to the point now where I just don't share a lot of stuff until it's already out, because a lot of the times, like with my friends and my family, I'm actually not looking for opinions or advice, because I'm going to do this one thing. And I feel like I end up doing a lot of things that are out, like kind of coloring outside of the lines or outside of the box. And so I'm like, I'm just sharing this in an excited way, but I'm not really asking for your opinion on this. I will ask people that are specialists in the field. Like I have some friends that I've brought in very closely the last few months because they're directors, they're directors of photography, they do design, they're stylists. So I've brought in people that have expertise in what I'm doing. And then of course I want their opinion, I want their collaboration and their feedback. But I feel like when I'm telling things to, whether it's like my mom friends or like people that are in totally different industries than me, sometimes there's just such a disconnect, and I can find my little tiny T, which is what I call my inner child, can get so sad. She's just like, we were so excited and that person just wasn't that excited. I'm a Leo. I have like four or five signs in Leo, sun and moon. So like, you know how Leos are, like we need like a cheerleader. And so I've just gotten to the point where instead of trying to expect people to be something that they're not, because that's not fair, I just am my own best cheerleader. Like, I will write it down in my journal. I will talk about it out loud to God. I will just get so excited. One thing I love to do now too is to leave a voice note. There's something really powerful about the spoken word, and I will just almost do a voice note journal about things I'm excited about, and then I just delete them after. I don't even listen to them, but there is something that's more concentrated when you're recording it versus if you're talking. I feel like if I just talk out loud, I'll kind of like lose focus or get distracted. When I'm doing this voice note thing, it's almost like I pretend I'm sharing it like with someone who's going to be really excited, or like with God, or like with my future partner or something, and then I just delete it because I want to receive the nourishment and excitement that I need, especially when things are in seed form. But I also don't want to put pressure on other people to be any different than the way that they are. And then I know kind of like who to take things to in my life. I'm sure you do too. Like, we all have like the really excitable friends. We have the friends that love talking about like this or that. And so it's like, I know who to go to, and I also know like who not to go to. That was something I had like that used to crush me, was going to the wrong people with things that really lit me up, because I feel like I would be so expanded, and then I'd get off the call and I'd be so contracted and so sad. And so once again, this is kind of a mindset thing. It is, instead of measuring the value of something that you're doing, or a project, or an opinion, or a belief, or anything to someone else's opinion, just having the mindset like, this is great. I have certainty on this. It feels like a hell yes in my body. So that's all that matters. And not needing those sounding boards as much. I think that's really, really helpful. And I know a lot of people are very anti-AI in this space, and no judgment at all. I am not. I'm very pro AI, because as someone that runs a global business, it is just so valuable to have a sounding board available 24/7. I have days where I work all day because I get so lost in excitement for a project that even when I go to like eat dinner and chill, I like keep forgetting to eat, and then the food gets cold, and like I just keep working because I get so excited about it. And it's just so nice to have a sounding board. Half the times you're figuring out your own solution anyways, just by saying it out loud, but you need to have that kind of like constant feedback. And I don't outsource my intuition to AI at all, but I will talk things through, because sometimes when the answer comes back, I'm like, no, this thing is so off base. And then I know my answer. And so I feel like it's just so valuable to have a partner in crime that like can help nonstop with business stuff, with soundboarding, with just talking things through. It's just, to me, it's really, really helpful. I also totally see the pitfalls of it and the fear in it. I think with anything in life, there's going to be kind of a good and bad side of it, and it's all about how you use it. But we all know that like AI is not going anywhere. So I feel like not getting involved isn't something that's going to stop it from happening. If it makes you feel safe and better, definitely don't get involved. And I totally agree with that. But I also feel like we all have phones. We're all using 5G. Like, unless you're off the grid, kind of living off the land, like we're already all participating in this society with a lot of things that I'm sure aren't great for our bodies, and I'm sure is not how our central nervous systems are like meant to be handling data. I was telling someone today that an hour of the news is like more information than our parents would get in like a whole calendar year, right? It's so different now, just the amount of data and things we're supposed to be like happy about, things we're supposed to be upset about, caring about other people's lives, caring about shows, caring about all these things. And I think it's really healthy to go back to center as much as possible. Like, turn off the news, follow things that make you feel good. And it's not to say you're ignoring the rest of the world. It's to say that I really value my peace above all things. And I'm going to make sure that my cup is full so that I can help others. It's not that I'm turning a blind eye to my neighbor. It's saying that like my central nervous system can only handle caring about so many things in a day. And this is what I'm prioritizing. I just really want to make sure that kindness and love and understanding for your neighbor is always there, but it's also to the point of like, you have to protect your mental health. Poor Gen Z, the suicide rate is so high, and like they're the first generation that grew up from like zero, with technology in their hands with social media at such a young age, and it's clearly showing what that does to the brain. I'm so grateful that I wasn't raised that way, because I can completely, I was watching a movie the other day, and I love movies. I was like, if I had had the option to watch movies every single day, all day as a kid, I would have. But I didn't, there wasn't enough stuff on. So I played outside, and I think that it's just so valuable. And I think that so many of us are going back to that way of life, and it's so beautiful. But just remember that everything of your external reality starts within. Every single thing. So if you are angry, you are going to magnetize things to be more angry about. Like, I watched this incredible video. I don't know who it was. Shoot, maybe I'll find the video and then I'll write his name in the comments. But someone asked him on a podcast, has anything bad ever happened to you? He goes, no, nothing bad. Or he said, like, what's the worst thing that happened to you, or something like that. And the guy who's answering goes, nothing bad has ever happened to me. And I'm like, what a statement is that? Whoa. And he goes, yeah, like, I got fired once, but it led to this. And this happened. I had a brain tumor, but it led to this. So I don't see those as bad things happening to me. This person died, but now they're my guardian angel. And it blew my mind, because I feel like I pride myself on alchemy and being able to turn darkness into light, and seeing, mostly in hindsight, but now really in the moment, like, pause, what a gift. Like, everything is working out for me. But I was like, shoot, if someone came up to me off the street and said randomly, like, what's the worst thing that happened to you? I'd probably have 3 things that I could list off the top of my head, right? And I realized how embodied this person is. He doesn't even, there's a certain type of like reward, not reward, that's the wrong word. There's a certain type of feedback when you explain something hard that's happened to you, because a lot of times it's relatable. Like, you can immediately relate to someone when you have like shared trauma. It also allows you to be seen in that. Like, there's this beautiful thing when you share something hard with someone and they see you and they understand you. That is a beautiful thing. But I also think we are so used to complaining. We are a generation of complainers. We are a generation of victimhood. And I feel like that's the level that I aspire to. I want to aspire to that level where, like, one day someone's like, what's, because I feel like people are always like, what led to your spiritual awakening? And I have like a whole list, and I think that when you've really embodied the work is when you no longer need to talk about the problem, even if it's to teach. Because I feel like sometimes as a teacher, it's like, oh, I want to be in this and show you my experience. And I'm kind of like calling the kettle black right now, because what I'm launching on Thursday is all about showing you guys my pain and how it led to my spiritual awakening. And I still think that's beautiful, because what I've created is art, and it's going to be great. But on a day-to-day basis, I aspire to be like this gentleman. I aspire to be someone who literally thinks that nothing is bad has ever happened to me, not because I'm delusional, but because I allow my mindset to be that there is always a gift from that. Like, he was like, I've been on a winning streak for so long, and something bad might happen tomorrow that in your mind could like crush my winning streak. But to me, I'm going to figure out the good in it, and I'm not going to let it affect my winning streak. And I was like, dang, that is a powerful mindset. That is so, so, so powerful, to be so certain beyond logic, so certain beyond things that a brain tumor, deaths in the family, being fired, like, those are very tangible things that most people would see as very bad, and rightly so. And I just find that really lit me up. I haven't seen something like that in a long time that felt like a really high, like, thing I could strive for. So I hope that this has illuminated you today, but I want you to just like take away this from today of how is your mindset affecting your life? Really take an inventory of your mindset. Is it helping you? Is it hurting you? What's the point? What are you doing? What are the thoughts that you're thinking over and over and over? How can you change them? What is real and what is an illusion? Kind of like what we talked about with me feeling trapped inside. It's like, yeah, I was literally trapped because I can't go outside. But at the same time, it's like everything I needed was in the house. So what does it really matter? But I can choose to switch, to reframe my mindset to see it as a good thing instead of a bad thing. Like, more time to rest, less distractions, more time to work, more time to catch up with people, all these beautiful things, right? So I really want you to take away from this of, what are you controlling your mindset, or is your mindset controlling you? And it really is one brick at a time. To literally live every day and catch every single thought that is negative and change it in real time is an art. It is a skill that takes a Doesn't have to take a long time, but it is something that requires awareness and effort. And so I think that that's a really beautiful place to be in 2026, because we go into the fire horse in a couple weeks. It's the 26th, we go on the 17th, and everything is going to have such momentum that everything that is on your mind is going to be amplified and magnified. So you want to make sure your mind is right. So what is amplified and magnetized is incredible, and it's what you want. So that is my snowstorm realization, like TED Talk. If you want, let me know what you guys want me to talk about tomorrow. I love doing these off the cuff, but I do want you guys to jump in and be in it with me. So I hope this helped you. I hope this blessed you. If you haven't checked out the free fireplace frequency yet, that is on my page. It's infused with Reiki for certainty and a 528 hertz frequency, just something really mellow that you can put on in the background of your home to fill your space with Reiki. And as always, subscribe for more, and I will see you guys tomorrow at 3.